I'm pretty upset actually because the parents were not notified.
Parents are irate because their children were racially segregated and profiled. However, I don't think that all segregation automatically equals racism. Their kids were not racially profiled. Segregated, yes. However, let the news paint the picture for you.
The district says the assembly was held last month. The investigation reopened just last week. It says the assembly, led by faculty member Anthony Hines with other black teachers helping, isolated 4th and 5th grade black students to discuss their low testing scores, even challenging them to compete against each other for better scores with an award for the top scores. We're told Principal Bunnell Elementary signed off on it.
We are in an ongoing investigation.
Hines' job is still on the table in the investigation. Evanson sent her resignation in on Thursday. Her letter, just released to us today, says in part, she loves the school and was brokenhearted over how these events affected the district, and she didn't deserve the leave she was placed on. She offers her resignation, then goes on to say she hopes the unfavorable situation will create an unavoidable conversation. She says the level of achievement is unacceptable and hopes those angered by the situation will work to change it, giving the data that 36% of African Americans and 19% of students with disabilities are at grade level in Flagler County. Evanson also wrote a letter to Bunnell Elementary staff saying goodbye. I reached out to Evanson today for comment. She responded saying she would eventually like to tell her side of the story, but is at this time too heartbroken to do so.
So at the end of the day, what we have is an administrator and a principal who were trying to help. They were thinking outside the box. Yes, they did round all the black children together and pull them all out of class and make them go to an assembly. However, the reasoning behind that was not racist. It was actually the opposite of racism. They were literally trying to help the African American children test at grade level because only 36% of them were actually testing at grade level. Part of their strategy was instating competition and then buying gift cards and prizes. And those competitions were going to help all of the kids be able to do more schoolwork. How do you have only the dumbest kids in class compete?
It's disheartening. 9, 10, 8, 11-year-olds were segregated.
When we spoke to their kids yesterday, they told us they were still having a tough time dealing with it.
I was confused and I was curious about why I was getting called down if I had a really good test score.
The enemy wants to go out off and flip off on somebody, but you won't get answers that way. So, I got to set an example for my daughter.
I'm pretty upset actually because the parents were not notified.
And Chris, the parents you spoke to are livid about this.
That's right. These parents want to make sure their children are never singled out again. Even though these meetings were supposed to be about improving grades, it was their skin color that determined if they win or not.
That made my blood boil. I mean, you don't say that. 4th, 5th graders?
That's Daryl Williams. He's 10-year-old Briley's father. On Friday, she was called out of her class for an assembly at Bunnell Elementary. When she showed up, she noticed all of the kids in attendance were black, and that did not sit well with her parents.
In the car, they said, oh, we all got pulled into an assembly, but it was all black kids.
Jacinda Arrington and Alexis Smith later learned their 4th graders were taken out of class and to an assembly at Bunnell Elementary, along with all the other black kids in the school.
The parents, what in the world is going on at first?
Dr. Phyllis Pearson is the Flagler Chapter NAACP president and a former principal at Bunnell Elementary. She's been talking with the superintendent and parents.
We can see how we can still help them and support them and never go back to doing such a thing again. It's not right. It's not okay. And I'm sure people want consequences. I understand that, but the consequences, you learn to do better.
And were kids told that they would be shot at or thrown in jail if they didn't get their scores up or do their homework? Who told them that, if that's true? And why did they think that was appropriate to say?
As I stated, we are in an ongoing investigation. At the conclusion of that investigation, that information will become public knowledge.
That's it. LaShaka's canceled. Okay. Instead of her, when the reporter asked her, yo, did y'all threaten the kids with death or jail? if they didn't get their test scores up? Instead of her saying no. Why would we do that? No, we simply told the kids that if you don't graduate, the chances of you ending up dead or in jail are exponentially higher. But she didn't do that. She didn't back her staff. She didn't back the kids, because the kids are still in the same situation. Just because the media and the parents feel like something's racist does not mean that it actually is. Yes, the kids were segregated. We chose all of the black kids. We pulled them all together because we believe that it takes a village. Okay? So we wanted the stronger kids to help the weaker kids. Simple as that. And of note is this: if the parents had been working with the kids, doing their homework with them after school, really making sure that their children were digesting the information that they were learning in school, then maybe there wouldn't have been a need for the assembly in the first place. I have a suspicion that the parents would rather look at something that seemed to be racist. It was clearly segregated. Okay, so I'm not even saying that the parents are wildly off here. I understand how they could look at it and think that it's racist. However, it wasn't. They were trying to help the kids. And I think that the parents would rather look at the racism and feel like they were a victim of something, opposed to being accountable and saying, you know what? My kid is not testing at grade level. 6.8 out of 10 children were not testing at grade level. Those parents should be accountable, and they should hold the accountability within themselves to make sure that their kids are getting what they need to get out of school. But maybe I'm wrong. Tell me in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next video.